against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, covering economic news, culture, matic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most watched daily Bitcoin live show on YouTube, Rumble, and X, Simply Bitcoin. Buckle up, it's going to be a great show. So I want to talk about a topic that I hear a lot, which is I'm late to Bitcoin, right? A lot of people, they see the numbers, they see, and unit bias is strong. You know, you're looking at $70,000 Bitcoin. This is a lot larger than the average U.S. salary here in the U.S. I think it's like 55 or 60K a year. So, you know, a lot of people are thinking like, look, I've missed the train. I've missed the train. It's too late. Let me look at these other altcoin. I can buy a lot more units for the same price that I could buy Bitcoin. Well, one doesn't equate to the other. This is why, you know, platforms like Coinbase and a lot of the, you know, altcoin casinos, in my opinion, do a disservice because they're peddling stuff that perhaps could perform well on a dollar term. But if you compare them on a Satoshi term, like, and I ask you guys to do this, don't trust, verify, Ethereum, XRP, any of them. If you compare ETH to Bitcoin, ETH has been on a downward trend, I think, since like 2017. ADA, same thing. XRP, same thing. Litecoin, same thing. So if you've been holding Bitcoin, you've been outperforming all of these altcoins. And it's the same thing. This happens every single cycle. You're not too late. Bitcoin still has a lot going for it. If we're right, the theory of the case is Bitcoin is the most superior asset the world has ever seen. I truly believe that. Then we still have a long ways to go. And today we're going to break down how much further we have to go. What exactly is that in percentage terms? What is the end game of Bitcoin? And believe it or not, like Hal Finney, right? One of the Bitcoin OGs, the first person to tweet on January 9th, 2009, that he was running Bitcoin, which coincidentally was the same day that the Bitcoin ETF was approved, January 9th, 2024. He put a prediction back in the day that Bitcoin's full price potential is 10 million US dollars. We're going to talk about why that is. We're going to break it down. We're going to get into all the data. We're going to break down the short-term price potential, and then we're going to break down the long-term price potential. And all that being said, to kind of go back to what I was saying about the altcoins, is it's really, are you low time preference? Are you short time preference? Because you have to understand with these altcoins, what you're doing inherently is gambling. If we know for a fact that they underperform Bitcoin on the long term, then what you're doing is that you're hoping that you can outperform Bitcoin in the short term in the hopes of accumulating more Bitcoin. Now, that being said, I've been doing this for quite a long time. This is my 8th year in the industry. There's very few people that I've ever met that have ever outperformed the dollar cost average, stay humble, stack sats, stay solvent strategy, which is the strategy that we advocate here for on Simply Bitcoin. You know, I think it's very difficult to control emotions. I think a lot of people can't help themselves but just to lump sum and go all the way in, go in hard. And I've done that multiple times, that dopamine hit of stacking a nice little stack, or, you know, going 80% of your paycheck is, you know, it's a great feeling in my opinion. But that's just something to keep in mind, right? Dollar cost average, stay humble, stack sats. We still have a ways to go. We still have tremendous opportunity. And it's important to remember that when these bull markets start to ramp up, which they are, you know, we're currently almost at 70K. And what tends to happen when these bull markets start to ramp up is that a lot of the so-called altcoins start to pump as well. And in percentage terms, they might outperform Bitcoin in the short term. But in the long term, that is never the case. So that's the question that I have for you guys is, Are you a low time preference person where the probability of you succeeding is extremely high? I mean, it's just very simple. You buy Bitcoin, earn Bitcoin, mine Bitcoin, take that Bitcoin into self-custody, put it in cold storage, forget about it, you know, and you're going to do very, very well for yourself. Or, you know, you could take the speculative route, where I've seen a lot of, you know, coworkers, a lot of friends of mine, they've admitted this to me. It's something that I've seen countless times, is that if they didn't do that, if they just bought Bitcoin instead, they would have ended up with more Bitcoin than if they didn't do that, right? So at the end of the day, it's your money. It's your decision. You have every right to do whatever you want with it. But the reason I wanted to do today's episode is just to kind of give you guys an idea, the audience an idea of how much opportunity there is still left in this. We're in the very, very beginning. I think Michael Saylor's analogy with New York State real estate, New York City real estate is the best, right? The best time to buy New York City real estate was right in the beginning when Manhattan was literally like a barren island. That would have been the best time. Even in Miami here, like Miami's a pretty young city. 80 years ago, this was just barren and it was like marsh, right? That was the best time to buy Miami real estate. But what Michael Saylor said, like, look, even if you waited, even if you bought New York real estate in the 1910s, even if you bought real estate in New York in the 1980s, you're still absolutely crushing it because of its scarcity and because of its demand, right? And that's just something to keep in mind. So anyways, it's going to be a great episode. We have an update for you guys as well in terms of the Europe self-custody ban. There's more kind of clarification on it. A lot of people are saying that, look, actually, it wasn't really a self-custody ban. It was this. I'm sorry, guys. Totalitarians and regulations, they creep up slowly over time. It's not something that just happens all at once, right? So it's important that we stay vigilant and on top of it, of what's really going on. And of course, we have a very, very special guest on today's episode. I'm gonna let my legendary co-host, who's always optimistic, make the introduction. And of course, talking about Optimus Fields. How you doing, Opti?
I'm doing good. Shout out to the chat.
Look at Opti's looking absolutely stunning and beautiful today. Look at that. Look at that, guys. Check out Opti's Instagram.
Shut up, don't do that. Anyways, you know, I have
He's
a bone to
turning
pick.
red. He's turning red.
I am
right now.
turning red. You're getting me flustered. I do have a bone to pick, Nico. You know, we do our best not to cuss in the first 2 minutes of the show because of YouTube. No, you did something even worse. You started naming shit coins in the first 2 minutes of the show.
I mean, I have to because I think that these are some of the most popular that people.
I know.
I get the message all the time. It's like, oh, Nico, they ask about Bitcoin, and then they like fast forward 6 months, like 6 months later, they're like, yo, I bought Ethereum. Right. So like I have to name them. I have to name exactly which ones they are, they are.
You said, man, what was it? ADA? Like, I haven't even heard that in so long. Cardano. I'm like, what is this? I was actually telling one of my friends on Friday, he was saying like, Solana's going to flip ETH. It's going to be hilarious. And I went over to the coin market cap and looked at the cryptocurrency list. And I'm like, I literally need to clean my eyes out with bleach now. Like I haven't been on that website in so long. It's, oh man. PTSD. Anyways, there's something else I wanted to say, but I'm blanking. So I'm just going to go into our guest today. Super excited for this. We actually had Seed Signer on, I think it was Thursday of last week, and he mentioned these guys and what they're doing down in El Zonte. Who am I talking about? Ronnie from the Bitcoin hardware store in El Zonte. So super excited that we can get you on the show so quickly. We're going to talk about everything you guys are doing down there. Maybe even, you know, you were telling us that you use Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. And I remembered. Sorry, Ron, I have to cut you off. Man, unit bias is such a thing. It's absolutely incredible. Like, when are the exchanges going to switch all the pricing to Satoshis in dollars, and then people will break that unit bias in their mind? But anyways, Ronnie, how you doing this morning? Super glad to have you, bro.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. It's a fantastic day here in El Zonte, Bitcoin Beach in Salvador. Buying coffee with my Bitcoin. What is that complain about?
Absolutely
Messes
beautiful.
up too. So.
Wait.
Roger Ver in disbelief.
Did you just wait? Did you just say that you're actually using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange? Because a lot of people are saying that's not true.
Can you believe it? Can you imagine somebody using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange to buy Pepsi, coffee, whatever?
So you're actually transacting in Bitcoin?
Every day.
Wow. Who could have known? This isn't, but I thought this was impossible.
This is the cyber world. Anything is possible.
Oh man, I love that.
Mars.
Anything is possible. I like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into the show, I do want to give a very, very, very special shout out to our lead sponsor. And of course, I'm talking about the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. And I'm talking about Bitcoin Well. Go to bitcoinwell.com. It's a publicly traded company coming out of Canada, which recently expanded to all 50 states. They're on a mission to make self-custody the standard all over the world. And the way that you do that is by making self-custody the default. What do I mean by that? If you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, they make you take self-custody. You can't buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well unless you're going to take self-custody, which perfectly aligns with the Simply Bitcoin ethos of the separation of money and state. Self-custody is the revolution. Take self-custody, and you can do that by going to Bitcoin Well. I also do want to give a shout out to the Bitcoin Jackpot Contest. It's currently live right now. Go to bitcoinwell.com/contest for more details. They're also doing giveaways. We've given away a passport. We've given away Seb Bunny book. We've given away seed plates over the last couple of weeks. So go to Bitcoin Jackpot Contest. So go to bitcoinwell.com/contest for more info. Currently, the jackpot is over 3.1 million Satoshis. So go sign up to the contest. The way that you do that is you sign up to Bitcoin Well. If you're an existing user, go to the rewards tab, and you can take some of the points that you earned buying Bitcoin, and you can put into the jackpot for your opportunity to win that massive jackpot and some of these prizes that we're going to be giving away over the next couple of weeks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, no more delay. Let's jump straight into the show. We have a lot to talk about.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. Guys, if you're enjoying the show right now, make sure to smash that like button. If you're watching us on YouTube, Rumble, or X, your favorite platform of choice, just smash the like button. Smash, smash, smash. Really, really helps with the YouTube algos, with the Rumble algos, with Twitter algos. Anyways, I also want to talk about Stamp Seed. You can use the promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off. Store your generational wealth properly. Don't store it on paper, store it on titanium. At the time of recording, we hit 70K earlier on today. We're at $69,770 sats per dollar. We're at 1,433. Block height 836,261. Blocks to halving 3,739. Halving estimate April 19, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity 4,359 Bitcoin. Capacity value $304 million US. Realized monetary inflation 1.73%. The market capitalization of Bitcoin is 1.37 trillion US dollars. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, we're sitting pretty at 9.95%. We're almost at 10% of the gold market cap. Anyways, I do want to give a quick update on the European news that we reported on Friday's episode. So the initial news was basically like, look, they're banning self-custody and whatever. That's not what we said on Friday. We basically said, like, look, they're setting caps on the amount of Bitcoin that you can withdraw without proving that, you know, that you are the owner of that said address. But the real, that to me is, I wouldn't call it noise. Like, it's definitely signal. But the point that you have to pay attention to is the slow creep. And Svetsky put it so well on Friday's episode. Why do we live in a world where bureaucrats and politicians who don't have any type of financial discipline whatsoever, they spend like drunken sailors? They spend money they don't have. They spend money that they don't raise in tax revenue. And they do that through deficit spending. They do that through money printing. But for the populace, we play by a different set of rules. So, you know, this was kind of like the theme, which is like, look, like, they're not banning anonymous crypto wallets. And you know, that's the new news that have come out, because a lot of people were saying that on Friday. They're not doing that. Okay, so what is it exactly that they're doing? Because let's kind of like dive into it, right? So here's Freddie New. Freddie New is the head of policy of the Bitcoin Policy UK. And he says, this needs to be taken seriously, but as always, it's crucial to read the text of the actual legislation. This is a prohibition on anonymity, not of Bitcoin. I mean, you could say, oh, that's wonderful. That's great. I mean, why is anonymity prohibited in the first place? I've said this many times. You can't have freedom without privacy. Anyways, goes on to say, if you're able to prove through a signing a message that you control the keys to an address, it is not anonymous and it is linked to you. I understand that Trezor and Swiss Bitcoin Pay are already working on UX to enable this. The most apparent effect will be increased customer due diligence before you transfer in and out of self-custody. Your coins in self-custody and self-custody itself are unaffected. The wording clearly states in bold, the prohibition does not apply to providers of hardware and software or providers of self-hosted wallets insofar as they do not possess access or control over those crypto asset wallets. Don't panic, read the actual source. Decide what, if any, action you'll need to take after doing so. Now, if you go here, here's the actual kind of voting for it. Look, the entire, like, she's like, yeah, let's go for it. Let's vote this away. So look, I think privacy is very important. I think privacy is a fundamental human right. I think we have to be extremely wary of the government creep, of government regulation creep. And if you don't learn from the past, you're destined to repeat it. I always bring up the Bank Secrecy Act because I think it's the most apparent. So the Bank Secrecy Act was passed in 1970. Remember those arbitrary numbers of 3,000 euros, of 1,000 euros, because they're basically saying, like, look, if you spend 1,000 euros, if you spend, you know, over 3,000 euros, all of a sudden that's an anonymous transaction. You're a criminal by default. We have to remember where this started so many years ago. And this is what I'm talking about, the slow regulatory creep. And the reason they do it slowly is to normalize it. Once you get people normalize, oh, we're not banning self-custody. We're actually just prohibiting anonymity. What do you think's going to happen in 5 years? Look at this. Look at the thesis from the sovereign individual, right? As the modern nation state gets desperate because their ability to tax their populace is greatly diminished by people opting out of the system entirely, they're going to become more totalitarian. That explains, right, the whole misinformation campaign. That explains these types of regulation. Look, I'm a Bitcoiner. What if they just had better incentives? People wouldn't be forced to use their system. People wouldn't be forced to do this. They're coercing people to do this. And that's something that's really important to understand. So here is part of the Bank Secrecy Act. the FBAR. It says U.S. citizens and residents with a financial interest and authority over foreign bank accounts or foreign financial accounts with an aggregate value of $10,000 or more are required to file a foreign bank account report. And also part of the Bank Secrecy Act is currency transaction reports. A currency transaction report reports cash transactions exceeding $10,000 in one business day, regardless of whether it's in one transaction or several cash transactions. It is filed electronically with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Now, you would say, okay, that's not a big deal. The reason that people didn't really care about this back in 1970 was because if you actually look at the purchasing power of $10,000 in 1970 today, it is the equivalent of $79,000. That's why people don't really care. So it's important to pay attention to government creep. This idea that anonymity is prohibited, this idea that privacy is prohibited. What if you're a government dissident? What if the political party that you oppose is in power? Remember what happened with WikiLeaks? They got shut off from the financial system. And you know, the only thing that they were able to accept transactions in is Bitcoin. But to go back to Svetzi's point on the Friday episode, I don't think that's the correct framing. I think the correct framing is, why should bureaucrats get to dictate how you can and how you can't use money if they don't even have the discipline to not spend money they don't have? And remember, I can't help but to remember what happened with Tucker Carlson when he wanted to interview the ex-Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson. And Boris Johnson asked to get paid in dollars, gold, and Bitcoin. Why would he ask for Bitcoin? So again, it's don't pay attention to what they say, pay attention to what they do. I think this is another example of central banker politician projection. And I think it's also another example of rules for thee, but not for me. So anyways, I think this is something to stay on top of, to pay attention. And I think it's utter, excuse my language, bullshit. That's to be blunt. Like, what are these arbitrary limits? And mind you, this isn't only happening in the European Union. This happened in the United States as well, where they tried to pass a law where every $600 transaction had to be reported. These are the same politicians that have net worths of over hundreds of millions of dollars on a government salary. So what's going on there? It looks like they're playing by a different set of rules than they expect all of us to play by. And then when we choose to use a different, an uncorruptible money, they try to use Christine Lagarde's own words, close the escape valves. I'm sorry if I'm skeptical. I'm sorry that if I'm jaded, I'm sorry that I don't believe the bullshit anymore. This is just, they want you in their system. They control you in their system. And what Bitcoiners are advocating for is not another system, an alternative system of control. But what Bitcoiners are advocating for is a system where no one controls anyone. It's rules without rulers. And I'll be blunt. If you're against Bitcoin, you're anti-human. If you're against Bitcoin, you want people to use a system that steals from you. It's as simple as that. If you are against Bitcoin, you support central banking. Full stop, period. And if you address it that way, if you confront it that way, they have absolutely no response to it. So anyways, those are my thoughts. Opti, what are your thoughts on this? Opti's more jaded than I am, man. So This shouldn't surprise Opti whatsoever.
First and foremost,
You're against Bitcoin. You're against freedom.
gotta play that every once in a while. I mean, Nico, like, why do you want privacy? What do you have to hide, bro? What are you trying to hide over there?
Why do they want privacy? Why do they want privacy? Like, it's such clown world.
It's such a low-hanging fruit excuse. It's funny when you talk to average people and you talk about privacy that they use that example of like, what do you want to hide? Like, I've got nothing to hide. I don't need privacy. It's like, yeah, well, you still wear clothes and you still close your windows at night. Everyone wants privacy. And to your point, I'm glad we got this clarification on the show, because to your point, it's what we were saying last week. I think it was Friday when we were talking with Vetsky about the idea of once they start to control capital, like, where this is going, and it's all about the same thing. Is like what everyone in the chat is saying. They know that the jig is up. They know what game's being played. And if more and more people escape the fiat system, then they go into Bitcoin, then they lose that control. They lose the ability to manipulate people. And they're doing their best to frame this in a way where it's like, oh, it's for your protection, guys. It's always for your protection. But we know the game. They can't control Bitcoin, hence why we saw Choke Point 2.0 play out all last year, and that they know that the on and off ramps are a legitimate attack vector. And so this is why they're going to try to maintain their control. Again, it's always about control. It will always be about control until you're in a system that they can't control. And of course, that is Bitcoin. So I'll keep it short and sweet, and let's bring Ronnie in. Ronnie, what's your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, man. I think you're right on point there. I don't know if the chat saw me when you said if you're against Bitcoin, you're with central banks. I mean, it's really that simple. We see it here in El Salvador every day. We have the choice to either use dollars or use Bitcoin. And I'm thankfully living on a Bitcoin standard and trying to support as much as is possible, trying to educate, work with people who are on the same boat as me. We're trying to fight the same fight. There's so many great projects, so many fantastic people, because we stand with exactly with what you're saying there, Nico, 100% of the way.
Let's go.
I love that. And I think El Salvador is definitely leading the good fight. We have a beachhead, we have a nation state that has made Bitcoin legal tender, and I think it's a huge effing deal. I do want to give a shout out to the super chats. First one by Will M. Thank you for the $2, and it says let's get this BTC. Absolutely. And we have Jamesito, thanks for the $2. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate you guys. Really helps with the show. Anyways, I do want to give a very special shout out to our merch, or else our buddy Winekiss will absolutely kill us. Guys, check out the Simply Bitcoin new collection. We teamed up with a awesome Bitcoin artist. His name is Asanoa, and he has all these. We teamed up to him. This is a collab. We have the Peaceful Bitcoin Revolution shirt. We have the gold Bitcoin pill. We have the gold Bitcoin snapback. We have the gold Bitcoin dad hat. And we've been listening to the ladies, so we released some ladies merch as well. Guys, get yours while supplies last. This has been flying off the shelf, so you might actually be out of some of these. So
I was just about to say that. I got an update by Wine. I think we're running pretty low on a few sizes. We will update the inventory, but they're almost gone, guys. So if you love the merch and you've been sitting on the sideline, hopefully you have a size left. And also, Nico, we will be bringing some to the halving party. We'll probably have some for BitBlock Boom, the leftovers. So we got some merch for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So guys, just to be clear, make sure you stack those sats first and foremost. But if you do want to support Simply Bitcoin, help us stay independent, really helps if you guys check out our merch. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the news. We have a lot to talk about today.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I made it incredibly easy for you guys. You can scan the QR code on your screen. It will take you directly to the Foundation Devices website where you guys could get yourself a Passport by Foundation Devices. It's an open source hardware wallet. Remember, guys, not your keys, not your cheese. All right, ladies, let's get to today's news. Quick ETF update. MicroStrategy currently holds 214,000 Bitcoin. Marathon Digital Holdings currently holds 16,930 Bitcoin. Tesla holds 9,720 Bitcoin. But lettuce hands, man, they sold at a bad time. They should have kept on to that. Anyways, on the ETF front, the Grayscale Trust continues to go down. People continue to sell their Grayscale and reallocate to the other ETFs. But as Adam Back so well put, eventually there's going to be no more Bitcoin to sell, right? So the BlackRock ETF currently holds 243,000 Bitcoin, and the Fidelity seems to be going a little bit sideways. It hasn't really increased much. I think it went from 133 to 136, but the BlackRock one continues to go absolutely ham, gobbling up all the corn, right? So quick ETF update on that front. And another news, I want to talk about today's subject matter. So the subject matter is basically, are you too late to Bitcoin, and what is Bitcoin's full price potential? So I think it's important to note Hal's original post, right? So Hal's original post, absolute legend. This was posted 11th of January, 2009 originally. And how initially he puts up in the beginning the total circulation of Bitcoin, 21 million coins, how will be distributed. But there's a very interesting part of this at the very bottom where he says, as an amusing thought experiment, imagine that Bitcoin is successful. Mind you, this was in 2009. Bitcoin did not have value, period. Right? So this absolute legend. Anyways. As an amusing thought experiment, imagine that Bitcoin is successful and becomes the dominant payment system in use throughout the world. Then the total value of the currency should be equal to the total value of all wealth in the world. Current estimates of total worldwide household wealth that I found range from 100 trillion to 300 trillion. With 20 million coins, that gives each coin a value of about 10 million US dollars. Fast forward a couple years, right? Here is, wow, bro, you have a complicated name, but I'm going to try my best. Scenes 20S Capital, and he's following up on the Hal Finney prediction. So he goes on to say, what is the total wealth that Bitcoin could potentially attract at hyper Bitcoinization? What final piece does this imply? So he goes on to say, I already read you guys that part about Hal Finney's post. There are different approaches to this, but we choose to compute the total amount of wealth that exists in various assets. At hyper-Bitcoinization, we expect Bitcoin to absorb the monetary premium of other stores of value that are currently in use. The main current store of values are gold, equities, bonds, real estate. Others, like cars or art, have negligible market caps. The total market cap of all these assets, including Bitcoin, is about 637 trillion, with real estate being by far the largest asset class. So what did he mean by monetary premiums, right? I think that's a very kind of important topic to talk about. Here it is right here. So what do you mean by monetary premiums? So you have to understand that in a world with broken money, in a world with inflationary money, if you are a high net worth individual, or let's say you're someone who earns a high income, what happens is that you're forced to become a part-time investor just to maintain your purchasing power. Bitcoin kind of
puts everything on its head. And what does a part-time investor, or what does outsourcing your wealth management curtail? What does it mean? It means that you park a lot of your wealth in real estate, because if you just parked it in a bank, you'd get absolutely crushed by inflation. So what do? Either you start becoming a part-time investor, you start buying real estate, you start buying art, you start buying cars, or you start to outsource it to, wealth management firms like Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, Morgan Stanley. They charge you a percentage. And what that does is that these quote unquote stores of value have absolute crazy premiums. You want to know why you can't afford a house? If you want to know why the housing prices and real estate is so crazy, this is why. Because wealthy people, or just banks, and even BlackRock started buying real estate to find, a place to park the money. People start to seek stores of value. But do you think real estate is a superior store to value compared to Bitcoin? You have to pay property tax. You have to fix up the property every so while. You obviously have to rent it out if you're an investor, so that, at least you make some type of return on that real estate. Because if not, if you're just sitting on it and then hoping for the value of the land or the land value of the property to go up, you still have to pay the property tax. So it's like constantly requiring you to maintain the thing. Now, if you compare that with Bitcoin, for example, you don't have to pay anybody. If you put Bitcoin into cold storage and you do it properly, you could sleep soundly at night. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Bitcoin is the superior asset. Here's this great piece by Jesse Myers. And he covers this, right? Bitcoin's full price potential. So let's get to it. And then we'll get into what is the actual X return? So what is the 500X, 200X, 100 something X? What is the actual X return if Bitcoin reaches that $10 million that Hal Finney pointed out? And I think a bunch of other Bitcoiners have pointed out as well. So Jesse goes on to say, what sets the ceiling for asset valuations? This is a piece of the puzzle that usually goes unaddressed. Different assets have different ceilings, meaning the percentage of the global asset pie that could ever realistically be. This is because the valuation of each asset category is constrained by key variables in their respective valuation equations. The value of a company is determined by two major inputs: its expected future cash flows and the discounted rate for those cash flows. In other words, how much money can a company realistically expect to pull in, and how low are interest rates going to be in the future? For real estate, it's a similar story. Global real estate value is constrained by the expected future cash flows for rentals and commercial properties, mortgage rates, and the amount of new supply being created. When real estate bubbles form as builders seek to create more supply to cash in on elevated prices. Commodities are different in the sense that interest rates are not a primary input that helps to establish a ceiling for valuations. Instead, commodity valuations are primarily constrained by new supply. For instance, with gold mining efforts collectively add 2% per year to the above ground supply. This steady 2% annual supply growth has been true for the last century. As the low-hanging fruits of gold deposits have been plucked, technology has unlocked access to previously unreachable deposits. At 12 trillion in total above ground gold, this means the global market must absorb 240 billion in new supply each year, just for the price of gold to remain where it is. This downward pressure on gold's price acts like the force of gravity, keeping gold's valuation constrained by the realities of supply and demand. What makes Bitcoin so different is that the market has absorbed half as much new supply from mining every 4 years. That's right. So if the price of gold goes up, the amount of gold being mined goes up with it. But if the price of Bitcoin goes up, the amount of Bitcoin being mined stays the same. Not only does it stay the same, it actually gets cut in half every 4 years, and it's about to happen in less than 30 days. Bitcoin has uniquely attractive properties as a store of value asset. Bitcoin's properties were never possible in the physical world. They could only happen in the digital realm. Before Bitcoin, it was always possible to copy and paste in the digital realm. It's just information after all. Bitcoin's principal innovation was the invention of digital scarcity. This breakthrough enabled Bitcoin to simultaneously implement 2 additional firsts in the global asset landscape: increasing scarcity, and the most important here is absolute scarcity. Now let's compare it to gold. You don't know how much gold is in the ground, and you don't know how much gold is floating in outer space. A lot of people predict that there's asteroids in outer space that have more gold contained in them than the amount of gold on Earth. I could tell you for a fact that there aren't any floating asteroids in outer space that contain millions of Bitcoin. There's 21 million Bitcoin, full stop. 4 million are estimated to be lost, and 1 million are estimated to belong to Satoshi. And those coins have never moved. So subtract 5 million by 21 million, and that's really Bitcoin's total supply. Anyways, it goes on to say, individuals who wrap their heads around Bitcoin's design eventually arrive at the same logical conclusion. Bitcoin stashed away today will be worth more in the future, where there's less Bitcoin being released every day. It's the unavoidable supply-demand reality of increasing scarcity. Here's an original quote from Satoshi Nakamoto, February 18, 2009. As the number of users grows, the value per coin increases. It has the potential for a positive feedback loop. As users increase, the value goes up, which could attract more users to take advantage of the increasing value. It goes on to say, Bitcoin is an excellent savings technology for any value that is interested in being propagated undiluted through time and growing in purchasing power along the way. But how much value is out there looking for such a vehicle? And that's the question that I want to answer in today's episode. So obviously, this chart right here is a bit dated. This original article came out, I think, about a year or two or so. But for the sake of today's episode, it's equally as important. And I did update the numbers in terms of what the full price potential is. So currently, Bitcoin's market cap is not $400 billion. Currently, Bitcoin's market cap is 1.36 trillion, right? But as you can see, with the total global asset value of 900 trillion, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity still left, especially because Bitcoin is the superior asset, as Michael Saylor continues to prove with his strategy. Bitcoin has outperformed the S&P 500. It's outperformed gold. It's outperformed everything. MicroStrategy has outperformed everything because it has adopted a Bitcoin strategy. It's just a matter of time before the rest of the world wakes up to that reality. And by the way, the large institutional asset managers already woke up to that reality. That's how the ETF got approved, even though members of the US government, cough, cough, Gary Gensler, were grinding their teeth, but they couldn't stop BlackRock. It's such a large, influential firm from BlackRock from Bitcoin's incentives. Bitcoin's incentives are a black hole. So to think that, it's not going to capture a portion of that total global asset value of 900 trillion, I think is naive. I think it's naive. By the way, this doesn't include derivatives. And also, by the way, this is 900 trillion today in 2024. But if you look at the total global asset value as time progresses, of course, economies grow, more technologies are invented, wealth is created. That tends to happen over time. So that's the total asset value today. But mind you, even if that continues to grow, the supply of Bitcoin stays exactly the same. It goes on to say, this undoubtedly overstates some categories and understates others, and may be missing some pieces altogether. Point is, this is a rough picture of all the world's value. It's something like 900 trillion in total. But how much of that is relevant to Bitcoin? How big is the addressable market? It's worth remembering that when it comes to the store of value use case, investors are interested in parking their value in whatever asset can propagate their wealth into the future most effectively. So any asset that does better can attract capital from every other asset category. In that sense, Bitcoin's total addressable market is the world's balance sheet, all 900 trillion of it. So long as Bitcoin has the most attractive characteristics as a store of value in the investable landscape, this will remain so. Bitcoin is a black hole on the world's balance sheet. Any of the value stored in some particular asset could theoretically be reallocated to Bitcoin instead. All it takes is for individuals to decide that Bitcoin is a better asset to hold than what they are currently holding. Currently, the world's collective allocation of Bitcoin is just 0.05%, 0.4 trillion out of 900 trillion. Well, not so much since obviously Bitcoin's market cap has increased. Anyways, it goes on to say, even if Bitcoin is the best asset out there, it is foolish to expect that everyone will eventually decide to be 100% Bitcoin. But it is also unrealistic to expect that Bitcoin will remain at 0.05 allocation on the world's balance sheet. By addressing each store of value asset bucket, it's possible to estimate what percentage of the value stored in each will be reallocated to Bitcoin once the world collectively understands Bitcoin's unparalleled properties. This exercise ultimately yields a full potential valuation for Bitcoin in today's dollars. And then he goes on to anticipate. He comes to the conclusion of $200 trillion market cap. That is Bitcoin's, in his eyes, Bitcoin's full potential. Now, what's really interesting about this is that it perfectly correlates with Hal Finney's prediction as well. He continues on to say, overall, my personal assessment is where the ceiling is for Bitcoin is simple. It's very high, almost to the point that I'm embarrassed to show my analysis. My conservative estimates suggest an outrageous full potential for Bitcoin's price, $10 million per coin. To put this another way, I believe Bitcoin's full potential is to eat 25% of the world's value. While today it constitutes just 0.05%, that's absurd. That means that I believe Bitcoin could 500x over the coming decades. Now, here's the thing. That's when the Bitcoin market cap was at 400 billion. Things have changed now. So if you do the math now, 200 trillion divided by 1.36 trillion equals a 147x. So that is Bitcoin's full potential, according to if it reaches that $10 million, if it reaches, Jesse Meyer's article's potential. And this is exactly why we've been advocating for, guys, continue to stack, because we've been telling you to buy Bitcoin when this thing was at a $400 billion market cap. I think we've been telling you to buy Bitcoin when this thing was at $100 billion market cap. I think we were telling you to buy Bitcoin before when it was underneath $100 billion market cap, right? So this is what's in front of us. And mind you, what if it doesn't even come close to 147x? What if this takes a couple decades and you're like, dude, I don't have a couple decades. What if it just does a 10x? What if it just does a 20x? What other asset, and if you include risk in that, risk adjusted return, what other asset can provide that? Nothing on the face of the planet. But I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Maybe I don't have 10 years. Maybe I don't have 20 years. Maybe I don't want to wait 20 years. I want it now. Well, this is where Cathie Wood's predictions, by the way, she has completely changed this now. She's actually increased this now that BlackRock has put their hat in the ring, because the ETFs completely changed the conversation. And she gives 3 predictions. And by the way, this is dated because the bull case is actually north of 2 million, by the way. But these are her predictions by 2030. So the bear case is 258,000. I think that's like so easy. I think that's like less than 5x if I'm doing the math in my head correctly. Then the base case is 682,000. That would make it that would put it at the market cap of gold. And then the bull case by 2030 would put it at 1.5 million. But like I said, she's increased this already. So if you want to see what the total addressable market, you want to see what what Bitcoin's full price potential is right now, as it currently stands, it would be about 147x compared to where we are right now. So again, I think we're just getting started. I think, there's tremendous opportunity in front of us. I think nothing else is going to even give you a 10x with this type of certainty. So what if it's not 147x? What if it's 50x? What if it's 20x? That is completely life-changing. So what I would say is stay humble, stack sats, try to stay away from the altcoins and their, short-term, crazy gains in the short term. But again, no one knows. You're essentially gambling. And that's not to say that you can't win in gambling. But what we're recommending, what we're pitching you is that, look, you don't have to gamble. I just laid it out for you, right? This is like, it's going up forever, Laura. This thing is like certain type of thing, right? So that's what I laid out for you guys. I've been getting this question a lot, and I want to do an episode on it. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on all this, brother?
Yeah, I mean, while you were saying all that, I just kept hearing Sailor repeated in my head, the new soundbite of him, like, people who save in fiat, we call them poor. And I think you laid out a good example there. And I really like to kind of flip the script on people because, personally, I don't ever see a time where I think I'm going back to the fiat system. Like, I can't foresee a future where I'm not going to ever not save in Bitcoin. It's like, once you have a superior money, what are you going to, like, you're not going to save in worse money. It's what Gresham's law, I believe it is. It's like, you want to store value in the best money, period. And I even had this conversation, Nico and Ronnie, over the weekend. I got in an Uber, and the lady, she, like, for some reason, we started talking about stocks and trading, and then she brought up crypto. She's like, I don't think I'm crazy, but, like, I've been saving in crypto. And I was kind of like, oh yeah, like, what do you own? And she's all saying, like, some bunch of shit coins and stuff. And I just, like, very simply was like, no, I just save in Bitcoin. I just want to save in the best money. I know it's going to last the longest. It's going to go up in value. And, I saw Kaiser on Twitter the other day. He was using the number that there's like $450 trillion of addressable market that Bitcoin can hit. I know we have the number of like $900 trillion of addressable market. And just very simply, if Bitcoin just takes some of that value, some percentage of that value, like, it's going up an incredible amount. And I just think that on a long enough time frame, not only will the world get more profitable, not only will the pie expand as we are saving in a money that doesn't leak value, people are going to start to understand that they want to store their value in Bitcoin. And so we're still in the very beginning of this. I'm not disillusioned anymore in the idea that people aren't going to hold anything but Bitcoin, but you can use the same playbook that the very wealthy in the world use, and it's saving your value in assets. And Bitcoin is the best asset, the best performing asset in the last 10, 15 years. Like, Bitcoin is the most achievable asset for every person out there to get a hold of. Like, you can buy $1 of Bitcoin, you can buy a penny of Bitcoin. Obviously, buy more Bitcoin. You want to stack Bitcoin, you want to hold Bitcoin for the long term. But I really just see this as it's a zero-sum game. Like, Bitcoin is going to take some value, premiums out of all the other assets go into Bitcoin. And this game is just starting to begin. We're just starting to see the FOMO from everyday people. We're just starting to see the legitimacy of Bitcoin in the eyes of the average person and institutions. And I still think that 70K is just stupidly undervalued right now. We can get stupidly bullish on the show. We're bull-tard. I am bull-tarded as it gets. And, 10 million by 2030 sounds bearish to me. But hey, what do I really know? All I know is that holding your value in something that cannot be debased is what I want to be doing. And that's what I'm going to be doing. And that's what I recommend all my friends and family do. And of course, you don't always have enough time to like fully do like a 3-hour rant on people, but you just start planting them seeds. And as number goes up, people are going to chase the price. Even Satoshi said it himself. So like, I think that Bitcoin is just incredibly undervalued. And that is my thesis here, that I will always store my value in Bitcoin. And it's incredibly undervalued at 70K. Like, you want to be buying, you want to continue to buy. Don't just smash buy once, continue to buy consistently. And in time, you're going to be happy that you did that. Your future you will be very happy that you're saving in Bitcoin right now. Anyways, Nico, you killed it on that one. All right, Ronnie, what's your thoughts on this? Yeah, I think you're muted. All right, maybe switch to your. There you are.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Very spot on. Low and slow is going to win the race. Bitcoin is math. That number is going to go up. Buy every day, 5 cents, 10 cents, whatever you have, low and slow is going to win the race. It's like the turtle and the hare, right? We all know that story. And the turtle ends up winning. Just keep stacking, keep stacking. I'm watching the chat here. Like Micro Sailor says, if you have cash, have fun staying poor. It's other people have said it better than I have. And so can't go up against what's true, tried and true. Hold Bitcoin. I mean, these numbers are absolutely insane. I don't doubt any of it. I'm on board 100%, living on a Bitcoin standard. So I recommend everybody continue to stack sats at every moment that you can, because these are the numbers. These are the facts, and facts. These are the facts that are real. This is real media. These are real numbers. So use that to your advantage, because the answer is there right in front of us. So let's take advantage of it. Let's not let others take advantage of us, essentially, right?
100%, 100%.
And the meme just popped up in my head. There's no top to Bitcoin because there's no bottom to the amount of money they will print. So save in Bitcoin.
Save in Bitcoin. Amen to that. Amen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the culture. So we could talk with Ronnie about the Bitcoin hardware store. What is going on in El Salvador? Actually, are people using it as a medium of exchange? We still have a lot to talk about on today's show. Let's get to the culture. Let's do this.
It's Monday.
It's Monday. We're starting strong. All right, let's do this.
The Daily Culture.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to give a very special shout out to our sponsor, Kaboom Racks. They are the most trusted place to buy, sell, and host mining equipment. Check out their racks today. You could do that by scanning the QR code on your screen or checking the link in the video or podcast description. You can check out their inventory on Telegram and connect with a member of their sales team. They make purchasing products easy and transparent. You could also sell your mining equipment with them, access their vast network of domestic and international customers when you sell your equipment with Kaboom Racks. What are you waiting for? Start your Bitcoin mining journey today. This is where I personally buy my Bitcoin mining ASICs. Check out Kaboom Racks, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Opti, it's all yours, my friend.
Let's go. All right, man. Super excited for this conversation. One of the things we like to do, that it's one of our favorite things to do, is have people on the ground in El Salvador or anywhere that Bitcoin is being adopted. And we have an example today with Ronnie. So let's, you told me this before the show, before we were recording. Let's start with how long you've been in El Salvador, what you've seen, and then we'll talk about the Bitcoin hardware store.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I've been here for just over 3 years now. I came from Canada. I was born in Canada. My family is Salvadoran. So for me, when I was looking to make a change in my life, El Salvador was an easy place for me to go. I'm a little bit familiar with it. And I landed here in El Zante. I can't describe how lucky I feel and privileged to have landed here. Got to meet some fantastic people, fantastic projects right here in Bitcoin Beach, because when I landed here, the project was just getting started. And even from the very beginning, the people, the energy was just absolutely fantastic. So I ended up staying here, not really thinking that was going to be the case for me. And then now that I'm here, now that I've made this large change in my life, kind of just like Opti said, I can't fathom going back to a fiat world at this point. I'm here living on Bitcoin Beach, living on a Bitcoin standard, and now running a Bitcoin business. I think this is the next step for me, wanting to help the ecosystem and really bring value to everything that, people who have brought value to me and really changed my life. I want to give that back. And so the Bitcoin hardware store is the way for me to do that here in El Zonte, here in El Salvador, for anyone really.
Love it, bro. Love it. Okay, before we jump into the Bitcoin hardware store, let's touch on using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange and blowing all the big blockers' minds that you are buying coffee with Bitcoin.
That's misinformation. There's no way that's true. There's no way that's true.
Oh man, you know what? I wish I had sipped my coffee right now, but it is true. We're using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange literally every day. So when I see these threads on Twitter, I'm just like, what are you people talking about? And I get it though. You need to come here and experience it and really see it, because I'll meet people who are been on their Bitcoin journey, and their journey has brought them here to El Salvador to see if what they're doing, if what's happening here is real. And they're like, well, I've never spent any Bitcoin. I don't know what to do with it. And so, and there's lots of questions that people have in terms of what it's like to spend Bitcoin. But the first thing that they do, and the first thing you have to do, is you have to get yourself a really good Lightning wallet. Once you have a good Lightning wallet, whether custodial or non-custodial, I personally recommend Phoenix, and you start interacting with people around you. And everyone here in Zonte, we have businesses that sell you food, businesses that will do massages. I got my hair braided with Bitcoin yesterday. I buy my coffee with Bitcoin. Get my hair done, take surf lessons. You can do so many things with Bitcoin here in El Salvador that I'm essentially living on a Bitcoin standard. And that comes from buying a $1 bottle of water if I need to, if I'm in that situation, buying some coconut water. It's absolutely fantastic here. And I really don't know what people are talking about. They really need to come down to El Salvador and experience it.
Let's go. Yeah, I was there, I don't know, 2022-ish or something. So I have one more question before we get into the details of Hardware Store. How has, I guess, for lack of better terms, the adoption of Bitcoin improved since you've been there? You're telling me you're using it every single day. So is the signal spreading? Are people waking up to using Bitcoin? And not just like Bitcoin tourists, I guess, would be the nomenclature here. But what have you seen the progression in Bitcoin since you've been down there?
Yeah, I've definitely seen it get better. I mean, to be quite honest with you, quite frank, at the very beginning, it was a little tough. Some of the government-enabled apps like Chivo weren't really working that well. People weren't trained on how to use these things very well. And so there was a lot of friction back in 2021, 2022, but it's gotten a lot better. Not to mention, again, that we all know that today we're touching 70,000 again. So even within the community, you have entrepreneurs and business owners who are seeing their neighbors succeed, and who obviously, competition within us as humans, we want to now figure out, well, why are they doing so much better? Why are these people going? Why do they have so many clientele? We're seeing it everywhere. More and more places are starting to accept Bitcoin. You come down here and it might still be a number like 10% of merchants accept Bitcoin as a country, but it's fantastic. Where else in the world can you really say that? And it continues to grow and it continues to build. And the neighbors telling your neighbor, the people within the community are telling each other within the community that this is how it works. This is how it should be spreading. You have Salvadorans teaching Salvadorans about Bitcoin. We're trying to do our part here. It feels fantastic, guys. I'm excited to have you guys here for the halving party, because that energy is contagious. And that's really what we're seeing within the Bitcoin space here, and with hyper Bitcoinization here in El Salvador. It's incredible.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, let's talk about what you're working on, the Bitcoin hardware. So actually, I want to make one comment. It's something I've noticed as well, that once you become a Bitcoiner and you save in Bitcoin, I like to call it like entrepreneur money, because it makes you think like an entrepreneur, and you realize like, okay, what value can I add to Bitcoiners or just my local community? And I just want to say you're doing it as well. I just love to see it. Anyways, what is the Bitcoin hardware store? What are you guys working on? What do you guys offer? And then also maybe you can plug where you're at exactly.
Awesome. The Bitcoin hardware store is a retail location here in El Zonte, Bitcoin Beach, El Salvador, where we provide or have on showcase all sorts of different Bitcoin hardware. So we're talking mostly self-custodial wallets, these unhosted self-custodial wallets, seed plates, mining equipment, little mining equipment. We have a lot of Lightning products. So our store really is to help onboard people into self-custody, into Bitcoin Lightning as well, since it's what we use here in El Salvador, and just help people feel comfortable with using Bitcoin Layer 1, Bitcoin Core, and Bitcoin Lightning. So we want to have the correct tools, which you can come into the store, you can use them, you can play with them in your hands. We have a couple of seed phrases that have no Bitcoin in it, but if they do, you can, it's up for grabs, I guess. And you play with these products, and we make you feel way more comfortable, a hands-on approach. We're here to answer any questions that might come that you have about Bitcoin. We have a fantastic K1 ATM machine as well, that you can come in and with your dirty fiat, come in up to 5 cents. After you said a penny, ours doesn't take a penny, but with 5 cents, you can buy some sats and you can really start stacking. So it's an experience for people to come see what Bitcoin, some of the best Bitcoin products that are in the market, and for people to come experience what Bitcoin is like here in El Salvador. It's been an absolutely fantastic couple of months and working with a lot of entrepreneurs here in the area. And if you need any help, we definitely would love to have anybody come visit us here in El Zonte.
Love it. Love it. How's been like the foot traffic? Like people just like walking in and being curious? Like how's that process been?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Sometimes you get people that have, bad experiences or bad ideas of what Bitcoin is, people who are Bitcoin curious and they're coming in, not really knowing what to do. Like I said, they are interested in learning about Bitcoin micropayments using Lightning, are curious about expanding or getting their Bitcoin off exchanges. Actually, that's one of the big things that we talk about as well. What is it to self-custody my Bitcoin? Bitcoin nodes are, people come in, they're like, well, what's a node? And just asking all these questions. I can't tell you how many, I'd say a couple times a day, there's somebody outside taking either a picture, like a selfie with the store, or just stopping their car right in the middle of the road, doesn't care about traffic, taking a picture of the store. We've seen our picture show up kind of in places that I wouldn't expect. So it's been a really good reception. The traffic is Salvadorans and foreigners who are looking to experience Bitcoin. The Salvadorans understand that people are coming here to our country to learn to use this form of money, the best form of money. And so we have to learn how to use it as well. So we get Salvadorans coming in and asking us questions about what wallets they should be using, what POS systems they should be using. And then now what I'm seeing is people who started stacking Bitcoin, Salvadorans who started stacking Bitcoin even just a couple of months ago, are now seeing their balance get bigger, and they're wondering, okay, now where do I store this? Because I remember last time you came in here, you told me this was a custodied Bitcoin account. And so it's been absolutely fantastic, the questions that we're getting, which also makes me have to step up my game and the team here at the hardware store, making sure that we stay on track of all the new developments in Bitcoin and just make sure that we are giving the correct advice to people.
Love it, man. Love it. Okay. One thing I did mention, Seed Signer was on last week, and I forget what he was telling me, but you guys are going to be building some or are doing workshops to teach people how to build them. So you guys are going to, I guess the question is, what's the roadmap? Are you guys going to do workshops? What's the goals for the Bitcoin hardware store?
Yeah, so shout out to the Seed Signer project. It's probably one of the reasons that I'm here in this position. They did such a great job, free open source project, an absolutely wonderful tool. I actually have one on me. We have Seed Signers, so we build Seed Signers here. We have all the off-the-shelf parts that you would need to build a Seed Signer yourself. We have a 3D printer at the store that we're running and creating the cases so you can get a full experience by building it yourself. We can help you build it. You can buy individual parts for the Seed Signer. We have cold cards here on the store. We have a full line of CoinKite products, from metal to the actual cold card itself. We have Foundation Passport devices, and absolutely, this is the one I get probably the most questions about at the store. They look at it and they're like, what is this? After I literally just told them that I have 4 different signing devices in front of us. And then we have Blockstream Jade, who's been, Blockstream's been a great supporter and just an OG of everything here in El Zonte. So we give, the roadmap is to continue giving workshops, maybe at a larger scale, to teach people how to run their own nodes, operate their own nodes, show them the options that are available. Running this, again, this software, this system, the ethos of Bitcoin is so important. And then Lightning as well. And ultimately, we want to educate, the whole country, anybody who's interested on Bitcoin and the tools to use, and even how to run a business on a Bitcoin standard. Like, we want to set the roadmap. We want to break all the rules that have been put in place. We want to break stuff. And so we're going to do a lot of research and development and just keep pushing forward and push the limits. I think that's kind of what the roadmap is right now.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Well, awesome, Ronnie. Love to see what you guys are building. Last question for me, and then Nika can chime in if you want. But what is the one message you want to send to the audience? It could be about the Bitcoin hardware store. It could be about Bitcoin in general. What's the final 2 sats you want to give to the people?
My final 2 sats would be to go along with what Nico's been talking about the whole show. It's, stack those sats low and slow. No need to gamble away. Provide value. And if you are certain in the value that you are providing, then be certain that we are on the right road. That's going to be, honestly, just to go along with what the show is all about. I appreciate it. I feel so hyped up after being on here. So thanks, guys.
I appreciate you joining us, man, and what you're contributing to the space. What you guys are contributing to the space is incredibly important, and hopefully we have a Bitcoin hardware store in every single country around the world, man. So keep fighting the good fight, and we really appreciate you coming on today, Ronnie. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, so on Twitter and on Instagram, you can find us at TBHS_SV. And if you want to reach out to the team directly, you can go on our website. We are tbhs.sv. And you can email us directly at hello@tbhs.sv. All right.
Well, I appreciate you joining us, Ronnie. Thank you so much. All right, guys, that was our show.
Wait, Nico, are we doing a meme review?
Yes, we are doing meme review.
Let's bring Ronnie back in. All right, we're doing meme review.
We rugged everyone on Friday because the show was running a bit long, and we are going to be doing the meme review. It is titled as Meme Review Fridays, but
I haven't edited it yet. Whatever. Just play it. Just play it.
Opti's Meme Review Mondays.
Opti's Friday Meme Review.
All right, guys. So, hey, you already know the deal. This is a meme review where you guys send us memes in our Telegram group. Dude, you're failing at the soundboard. Or tag us on Twitter at simplybitcointv. We usually do this on Friday, but we ran really long on Friday. We're running a little long today. Anyways, I was pretty dead on Friday. Whatever. These memes were for Friday, so some of them are kind of connected to the Friday show. But anyways,
shit in his wallet. What the fuck?
I don't know.
What's going on there?
No, that's just his wallet. That's just the inside of the wallet. Anyways. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. Tweets with the bullets, memes with the artillery. We are in the front lines of the information war. Continue to plant the seeds of freedom. Continue to spread the signal. Continue to onboard your friends, if you still have some normie friends. There's 8 billion people in the world, and I don't know where we're at right now. We're probably like 1 million Bitcoiners or whatever. So there's a lot of room to grow, and there's a lot of people that need to be orange pilled. Hence what Ronnie's working on at the hardware store. Anyways, this first one is by Salvatore Ingala or Salvatoshi. Works at Ledger, I guess, but a Bitcoiner. And this is because of the Euro news. And so he goes, is my unhosted Euro wallet illegal or not yet? And it's just a picture of a wallet with some dirty fiat euros in it. Are they gonna try to they're gonna ban anonymous payments, right? Like, are they gonna ban the euro? It's
basically like any transaction over 3,000 euros.
Sheesh. So
you can't do it in cash.
It
can't be quote unquote anonymous.
Anyways, this next meme is by our boy Greg Zaj1, and it's Nico and Sophie here with a little baby, and it goes, dollars or gold, and then the baby has laser eyes. It goes, Bitcoin, and then it goes, that's my boy, or that's my girl. Okay, next one. Sorry, it's loading up. We have Samson Mao, aka Excellion, on Twitter, and he goes, Bitcoin is going to add a zero. And we got the classic cat meme where the girl's yelling at the cat, and the girl goes, you said Bitcoin was going to zero, and then the cat goes, no, I said Bitcoin was going to add a zero. We are adding a zero. It's not going to zero.
Shout out to the person who put 0.0006B.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about reframing the numbers here. Okay, next one is Ropium, and he just goes hashtag Bitcoin, and you got a picture here of Jesus, and he goes, how I think I look telling people Bitcoin will save the world, and then how I really look into Charlie Day connecting the dots. I swear we all feel this way. We're saviors, and then everyone's like, you're crazy. Well, if we weren't crazy, then there wouldn't be an opportunity to stack as many sets as possible at the cheapest price possible and watching number go up. Okay, this next one. The reason I wanted to bring this one on is because it is our meme world and everyone else is just living in it. And we got here James Seafart. I don't know. He's the Bloomberg analyst over here, and he's out here memeing, bro.
Seafert.
And Yeah, Seifer. And he goes, I actually whispered in his ear right before this photo was taken. You have Jerome Powell here doing his announcement. And we have James here. Choose rich. It's our meme world. He's a Bloomberg analyst memeing with us using Bitcoin memes.
Absolute
hilarious.
legend. Absolute legend.
Hilarious.
I approve.
This next one is by McShane, aka at McShane_ writes on Twitter, and he goes, "Fiat is money by mandate. Bitcoin is money by consensus." And we have a Pepe the Frog here with a Chad toy, you know, a Chad Bitcoiner toy, and then we have the Wojak toy, and it goes, and then the soy jack cried and said, "But Chad, Bitcoin isn't backed by government." And Chad said, "Yes, this is the way." Okay, this last one. All right, guys. Sometimes the memes I put on here, they're more like charts than memes. So this is one of those cases, but I think this is a solid visual. And hey, I'm a visual learner here. So we have Jonathan Newman. Let's see. He worked, fellow at Mises Institute. Okay, cool. And he goes, "Look what happens when you add M2 to the money supply." All right, and I'm a little colorblind here, guys. So I think this line is the M2, and then I don't know what color, blue or purple.
Let me do this.
Yeah, you do this.
Okay. So the bottom line represents, for audio listeners, is basically a Fed chart, right? But I think this is one of the smartest memes you've posted, Opti.
I know. I'm big braining you guys.
But essentially, it's a meme provided. Sorry, it's a meme. It's a chart. It's a graph provided by the Fed. The bottom line represents the total net worth held by the bottom 50%, and the top green and red line represent the M2 and the net worth held by the top 0.1%. Now, what's really, really interesting is that the net worth of the top 0.1% directly correlates with the amount of money, with the money supply increasing. And the reason for that is very simple. Every time they print money, it's a wealth redistribution mechanism from the lower and middle classes that don't have the means to save in assets. Assets pump when they print money to the very, very wealthy that do have the means to save in assets and back to the government. So again, this is nothing to do, you know, I've heard this many, many times, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That is not because of capitalism. That is not because of any other reason than the money being fundamentally broken. And this chart is a great representation of that. When they print money, they're literally making the rich richer on paper, not necessarily their purchasing power. And they're making everyone else who saves and earns in dollars poor, which happen to be the vast majority of society. This is why money printing is fundamentally evil. And this meme is a great representation of something that we've been talking about over the last couple months.
Yes, and this is why you buy Bitcoin.
If you buy Bitcoin, this does not apply to you. All right, so let's get to the meme scores. Guys, if this is your first Simply Bitcoin episode, first of all, welcome. Smash that like button. Consider subscribing. Second of all, drop your meme score in the live chat, and we will put it on the show while we rate the memes. First,
I got one. I'm ready.
Oh, no, wait. I want to give it my meme score first. My meme score is Opti's unupdated browser. That's my meme score.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't update anything. How's everyone notice? It's not even finished. All right. Anyway, my meme review score for today is a slice of green apple. Oh, invisible apple. Invisible apple. This is a key hack for when you need to conversate on podcasts. It keeps your salivary glands nice and cleansed, so you don't sound like you're eating a bag of marbles.
Interesting. Okay, Ronnie, what would you give those memes?
My meme score is a steel plate with "Get your Bitcoin off exchanges" written on it.
Oof, that's some bars.
Let's go
right there.
Let's go.
All right, everyone. Let's get to some of the meme scores. First meme score. No, Opti, I think you missed one. Is that the top one?
I think that's the first one.
No, the first one is this one.
Rich BC, 3 Nico bedtime stories about the Overton window. That is hilarious. Keith, I give the memes BlackRock seed word stash in Brian Armstrong's desk. I love that episode. UTXO, I give the memes 6 drops of Tracas 50K diff.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. Matt FRL, I rate the memes. We need more meme reviews. More.
Oh, okay.
Let's do 2 meme reviews this week. Yeah, Opti's Friday meme review will be back on Friday. Philip Russo, I give the memes. You ask and you shall receive. All right. He gives the memes Opti's cannonball at the halving party. Oh my god. I always get worried.
Tsunami incoming.
I always get worried when I hear party and Opti. Elaine, stack your coin merely all day, ecstatically. Bitcoin's the only way. Woof. Elaine coming in with the fire. MG Smith 4, I give the memes Arizona greater than Texas. Okay. Getting spicy. I score the memes 1 Simply Bitcoin hat. And we got 1 score by Phil C. I give the meme 78K incoming.
Let's go.
Loco TX, I give the memes Roger Ver middle finger. Scott Market Mike, Bitcoin is resurrected on Easter. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait. There's a couple more.
JH, I give the memes 1 Good Friday pump to Easter Monday pump. Okay, I like it.
Okay, and then Rumble. I got a few on Rumble, and then we'll round this one out. All right, so we got out of compliance, meme score, a fair valued bond to post for a New York corrupt witch hunt. Okay, I get political. Narwhal Tacos, I give those memes 4 perfectly legal BTC wallets hosted by myself.
Oof. Okay, we got 2 more on YouTube. I give the memes no armed pirate salute, and last one by Daniel, Bitcoin Pez dispenser. Oh, I would really want.
I think those are things. They're
really want one of those. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. I'm your host Nico. This is our guest Ronnie from the Bitcoin hardware store in El Salvador. This is my legendary co-host Optimus Fields. If you guys enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution: share Bitcoin content, share Bitcoin culture, share Bitcoin music, share Bitcoin art. We must win over the culture. That's how we win the war. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, love you all. Rodney, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live.
Episode was brought to you by bitcoinwell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.